Okay, should be working now. I don't know if everybody's still here or not. Now that I've booted everybody out of the link. It's a different link now, isn't it? Copy. Oit the vey. All right, I'm just posting a new link. Hopefully. Okay. All right, well, shoot. Nobody's here. Okay, hi Florence. Oh man, technical difficulties. Oh, right. Well, let's get started. I don't know if everybody else is going to be able to find the link now that I've kind of botched all that up. Not surprising, I guess. But here we go. So today I'm just going to be drawing. Hopefully the camera doesn't shake too much. I kind of got a rig set up here that's not super awesome, but it's functional. And today I'm just going to draw a portrait of, well, it's going to be Randall Thor. I'm using Josha Stradowski as the model because he's Rand. And the funny thing is that the feed in what you're seeing is backwards. So it looks like I'm left-handed in the feed. I'm actually right-handed. I'll have to look and see if I can flip that. At any rate, you'll at least get, hopefully, a feel for how the drawing goes. I'll try to keep my eye on the chat window. If anybody has any questions or comments or whatever, please feel free to jump into the chat and I will try to respond. Now that you can hear me. Awesome. Oh, cool. So it's in my right hand. Weird. All right. In my live preview, it looks like it's in my left. I don't know. Thanks, Florence. Got 5 people showed up. All right. I'm going to start drawing. So the process that you're going to see me go through here is kind of like what I do in the early stages of drawing any of my Wheel of Time portraits or any portrait in general. So I usually start just by trying to map out the structure of the face. And I kind of get this, this approach comes from a number of different sources. So Loomis and Bridgman's, and there's a book called Figure Drawing, Design, and Invention. And the name of the creator of that book escapes me right now. But basically, it's kind of the same approach from all of those creators. The idea is that you're sort of starting with the cranium, and then you break down the face in its different sections. And of course, you're kind of trying to pay attention to where stuff wraps on the form. I probably won't. I've kind of created my own little sort of shorthand for stuff as I've done this quite a bit, and I've been kind of, I guess, focused heavily on portraiture for a while now. So yeah, I was kind of like, I guess one of my long-term goals is to get really good at drawing the human figure. But I kind of came to a realization a couple of years ago that is just such a large mountain to climb that I need to sort of simplify things a little bit. So that's when I kind of decided to focus a little more exclusively on just the face for a while and try to get the hang of that. And that is a journey that I've been on for a while now. But I do feel like I'm making progress and growing. I think it's trying to see is very challenging. So I have a background in fine arts. I have a diploma in fine arts from a community college, which is it's now a university out here, but it was a community college when I went back in 97 to 99. And I got a diploma in fine arts then. Also met my lovely wife in college. We were in fine arts together. So I do have some training in terms of drawing and stuff like that. But my career, my day-to-day, I've been working mostly in graphic design. Nowadays, our work is primarily in animation at my studio, where I run a studio with my business partner, Kelly Mellings. You can find him online in different places too. So Giovanna08, hope I'm saying that right. What program and equipment are you using? So, I mean, you can see I'm using an iPad and an Apple Pencil. And the software I've been using almost exclusively for quite a while now is Procreate on the iPad. Very similar to Photoshop. It's a little bit, well, it's cheaper than Photoshop. Doesn't cost as much. But it's great. It's a great sort of drawing and painting program. Does everything that I need it to do. It's got a sort of a number of different brushes. Right now I'm just using it's like a graphite brush. So it's like meant to emulate pencil. So as I was kind of looking at this piece, I actually used this portrait or this photograph for the giveaway that I did with the Dusty Wheel on YouTube. If you're a Wheel of Time fan, and you haven't checked out the Dusty Wheel yet, you should go check out the Dusty Wheel. Yeah, he does really awesome, what do you call it? It's a live call-in talk show format, and he talks all about Wheel of Time and stuff. But I did an art piece to give away when I was on his channel talking about my Wheel of Time art, and I used this image of Josha Stradowski to do that art piece. So I am a little kind of familiar with the photo. I've kind of drawn it once already, but so you can see here, like, this is what drives me crazy about my level of skill, is that I'm just not where I want to be yet. But you can see I'm kind of like redrawing and retracing lines that are sort of structural lines. And ideally, I wouldn't be doing that. I would just have the confidence to lay down the lines and then they would be correct. But I am not that confident yet. I'm just not that. I'm not there yet. And I'm gonna be releasing a video. I've had a video on my Patreon page for a couple days for my patrons. and I'm going to be releasing it today. And it's just about kind of goes into a little bit of like how I shortcut some of the drawing aspects for myself to help myself kind of get to where I want the piece to be sooner than it would take, quicker than it would take me to do it this way, like with just straight up seeing. There is like I sort of feel like there's two different ways to look at my process. One is that I can do work to get something finished, and in most of the case right now with like all the real-time stuff that I do, or if I'm doing like a commission or whatever, it's partly like I need to get it through and get it done so I can move on to the next piece and I can explore more work. And so I use some shortcuts in the tool set to kind of almost like a crutch a little bit to get myself where I need to go faster. So the video I'm putting out, I'm releasing to the public today, kind of talks about that. So if you're curious, you can go and check that one out. It's not super long. I did a portrait of Logain, and I talk about how I do that. Today, what I'm trying for, is to do more like a studied approach. So kind of like drawing the piece freehand without shortcutting anything. And my hope is that the likeness will be fairly accurate if I can pull it off. So thank you very much for joining me today. I don't know if I've kind of messed things up with my technical issues, if we would have had more people in the viewing here, but it's possible. I might have botched stuff up, which kind of makes me frustrated because I really spent a lot of time trying to get it set up. There was like 59 people that liked my original post about it on Twitter, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm just gonna keep drawing here. Oh, okay, that's good to know. Well then, that's great. Good to know it's working. Yeah, so I don't know if everybody, if you're here because of the Wheel of Time content that I've been doing, or what it specifically is that kind of has brought you here today. The Wheel of Time content is my fan art pieces. There are like super fun. I've really, really been enjoying it. I was just thinking about, I just actually started listening to the books again. So it's my third, it'll be my third listen / reading to the books. I guess I'm intending to read them, listen to them again before the show comes around. And I kind of think, I'm hoping that it'll kind of fuel my work, my Wheel of Time work. I've kind of got like a little notes file where I like just a notes file on my phone where I kind of keep throwing more ideas and concepts of paintings or drawings in there with stuff that I'd like to do. Some of them are a little overwhelming to my mind, like in terms of scope, stuff that I don't feel like I'm super ready for yet, just in terms of my skill level. It's a bit intimidating. Some of the visuals and stuff are just so incredible in that book, right? So in the books. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, Matt from the Dusty Wheel, for sharing that. Hi, Engine Dono, ADT, Tom Birthright. Tom, who's my favorite Wheel of Time character? Gosh, come on. Who's your favorite Wheel of Time character? Let me ask you that. How can you narrow it down? Jeez. I think I like all of them at different times throughout the books. Oh yeah, one of the things I say about Rand here is I don't know if you've seen in my other pieces of him. I think Yosha, I don't think they're going to put him in a wig. And I think his hair, like it's a good color for the character. I feel like it's a lot less kind of moppy than what I've kind of always imagined Rand's hair to be like. Maybe his ear too small. So I've been drawing Rand, my drawings of Rand. You'll notice he's kind of got this like moppy, kind of shaggy hair. Sort of how I imagine it. You like Matt, hey? Matt is pretty stinking awesome. I do like Matt too. He's really fun, really interesting character. I love how now I'm going to be talking about stuff here. So if you are a new sort of reader, you have gotten through the books, I'll just tell you right away, I have no filter, so I'm probably going to spoil some things for you if I talk about stuff. So just be warned. If you don't want to hear, you can turn off the audio and just watch me draw if that's what you're into. But anyways, I just thought it was super cool what happened to him in Rudion, however you say it. And the deal that he made with the Finns and got, all of his memories and the memories of his past lives and stuff. He's just a very compelling character. And I love how he kind of like, there's sort of some mystery around him early where he starts like spouting things like in the old tongue and you're like, what the heck's going on with this guy? It's pretty cool. I think like the kid in me, the teenage boy in me, just really likes Rand. I think like he's just got a really strong hero's journey that appeals to me. I think he's probably, and like I don't know, he's kind of angsty and goes through so much stuff that I kind of identify. I mean, I can't. It sounds stupid. But I think as a teenage man or a young man, you sort of like, when I was that age, I sort of like felt like sort of the same feelings that he was like. Everything felt like torture, right? So, but yeah, I really like Rand. I love Lan, and oh man, the way that like kind of how things end up with him at the end in the last battle and stuff. Like, there's just so much cool stuff with that character too. He's really intense. I love some of the ladies. Nynaeve is incredible. She's like she's just super strong. Like there's so many things about her that I really like. There's things about her that remind me a little bit of my wife in terms of her like headstrong kind of attitude, and this sort of like inherent sense of rightness, that she's right about stuff. A little bit of that sort of fierceness and sort of dealing with her underlying anger and stuff that she goes through. Not that my wife is angry, she's a wonderful lady, but there's like, I don't know, there's similarities that I feel. And I think that kind of draws me to that character. Matt's battle with Galad and Gowan. Yeah, that was awesome, right? He like totally owned those guys. That was great. Matt and Nynaeve, yeah. Will I be going through how I color? That wasn't in my sort of like scope of what I was going to do today. I mean, that like, so most of my Wheel of Time pieces, they're painted, and that is like a long process for me. You can see already, like, I don't know how long have I been going here for. I don't have a clock in front of me. It's 4:21 already. I've probably been drawing for like 15 minutes, I guess, after all my technical issues. And so you can see that I've only really got like a base drawing down started. So my Wheel of Time, or any kind of like painted portrait, they can take me quite a bit of time, like anywhere between, I don't know, 4 to, it depends, like a straight up portrait of just like a face and shoulders can be like 4 hours. So anything where I start to get into like more figure work, or like body positioning, kind of wrestling with more compositional stuff, can take like 20, 30 hours. And that's partly a byproduct, again, of my sort of my skill level right now. I have a lot of growing to do. And, you know, that over time will hopefully sort of decrease, the amount of time will decrease. It's partly setting up good photo reference as well. And I sometimes struggle with that step. I get impatient and I want to get drawings. So I sort of sometimes shoot myself in the foot because I sort of skip getting the photo reference really well put together. And then I sort of end up feeling like I'm trying to invent stuff as I go along. And one of the things I've learned about myself and my creative process is that if I can't see what I'm drawing or what I need to draw, it's really hard for me. I'm not an artist that can like sit down and be like, hey, I'm gonna draw Thor and just make it up as I go. Like my sense of anatomy, my visual library isn't strong enough. I can't just sit down and do that. So I really need strong photo reference. And if I don't take the time to do that step properly, it can really shoot me in the foot in terms of the amount of time it takes me to do stuff. So there's a bit of like, if I'm doing things properly, there's kind of an upfront part of the process that I need to really pay attention to and get done, which can take time outside of just the drawing itself. But yeah, so sorry, long answer to say I probably won't be doing color today. I could, we could kind of go, I could open up some of my existing paintings at the end and we could just kind of go through and I can show you a little bit of like the brushes that I use and basically the approach. I mean, it's not rocket science. I'm essentially using one layer. I try to paint and draw on one layer. So like even with this piece, what I would, if I was going to paint this, what I might do, what I would do, I shouldn't say what I might do. What I would do is I would duplicate this layer and then set it to like kind of a transparency. I don't want to change this shirt. I was thinking about this piece when I was working on it, getting ready to work on it, and I was thinking that like I kind of wanted him to be like Two Rivers Rand, like prior to getting all fancy pants. And so I kind of wanted to have like him in more of a provincial looking kind of sewn up shirt. Because I thought that'd be sort of fun. Even though I kind of feel like Two Rivers Rand wouldn't be this stoic and serious. I feel like he'd have a little bit of a lighter disposition. I think he kind of gets more weighted down with seriousness as the series goes on. Oh, hey, MK Janest. Good to see you on here. Yeah, I mean, pencils, so here's the thing. The digital tool set is just another tool. And so drawing with pencil is awesome. And you're gonna basically, all this is just another tool set. So it's not even like, it doesn't really necessarily improve your ability or like, you know, make anything better. In some senses, I think it kind of makes it worse. I feel like it sort of can kind of remove the artist's hand a little bit, and there's something to be said about kind of like this lack of seeing the artist touch on the piece and the tactility. There's real beauty in traditional pieces that can get lost in the digital. But if you're trying to grow and you're trying to get better at art, drawing on paper is amazing and probably even better than this, because I think this is like and I sort of push it with my kids are 15 and 13, almost 13, and my son is quite into artwork, and I kind of push him to just work on paper. I think that my opinion is that digital shouldn't be really delved into until you have a fairly strong foundation of seeing, because I wouldn't ever want someone to sort of become reliant on the tools. And it's like, I mean, I'm a commercial artist. I've been in the commercial industry since 2004, and I've done a ton of work professionally and just for fun or whatever. So I kind of feel like for me, I understand what I'm giving up and what I'm gaining when I'm using this. So not going into it blindly or like, you know, I guess I'm like aware of what I'm doing. I don't know how to describe it, but I feel like, yeah, drawing on paper is amazing and great. And you shouldn't ever feel like, oh, I just can't get somewhere because I don't have that. It shouldn't be a barrier. In fact, I would like to, time allowing, I would love to make time to work on some canvases and do some actual like physical paintings in this arena and this kind of work. I think that would be super awesome and super fun, and challenging. Like the thing about digital is you can undo and fix and whittle, and I think there again that's a little bit of can be a little bit of a detriment too. Some of the immediacy gets lost, and you can kind of actually. I'll bet you that I probably 15% of my time spent. Well, maybe not 15, maybe 10% of my time spent on a digital piece is probably wasted time. Because I sit and I like, oh, I just want to tweak that. I just want to tweak that. I just want to tweak that. And I should just move on. So, anyways. Yeah, it just would be too long to go into the painting, Giovanna. But I can, like I said, maybe I'll open up a file at the end and I can just quickly show you what I do. Color is I feel like it's a whole other, another animal that kind of could use a whole bunch of conversation in and of itself. I sometimes work, like on one of the more recent commissions that I did, I painted it at grayscale before I used color. So I did almost the entire painting grayscale. And part of it was it was a bit of a challenging piece, and I didn't want to be wrestling with color while trying to figure out the form and the composition. So I just wanted to deal with values first. And so I painted it, and then I put, like basically it would be like the equivalent of doing, what do you call it? Glazes over top of like a sepia or a gray tone painting. So if that makes sense. I don't always work that way, but I have in the past. I know there's a couple of artists that I really admire that work that way quite exclusively. So let's see. Most of my time is drawing and erasing. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, I think one of the challenges, self-editing and feeling a lack of confidence is not uncommon with artists, and I think it's good to be aware of where our skill level is at, but you can't let it become a barrier to completing stuff. Jake Parker, I don't know if you know Jake Parker. He's one of my influences. He's more of a cartoonist, but he does a lot of really amazing work, and he's kind of does some teaching online and stuff. He's the guy that started Inktober. I don't know if you're familiar with Inktober. But he often says like better, what does he say? It's better to have something finished than something perfect, I guess, basically. I'm probably paraphrasing there. I don't remember exactly. But his whole thing is that you don't, like, it's better to just kind of almost like fail, right? Work through a piece, finish it. It's not going to be perfect. It never is going to be perfect. And hopefully on the journey, we learn something. And the next time we come back to do another piece, it's easier. Hopefully. I notice for myself, there's lots of times when I work and I work and I work and nothing seems to get easier. And then there's like moments where I look at my work kind of overall and I'm like, oh, I've grown, I've gotten better. So it's a bit of a self-perception thing, possibly. I'm struggling with the side of his face here. I feel like it's not quite reading right. I need to get some of the hair in there darkened because so this is an example here. I don't have reference of shaggy hair in front of me. And so I'm kind of inventing here, which is risky. But I've gotten a little bit better at toying around with hair and making it feel pseudo-natural. Oh, thanks, Linux. I appreciate it. My non-digital work, yeah. I mean, I have thought about. So this is my first live art stream. Actually, if you go to where would it be the best place? Don't think I've posted it online yet. But if you go to the Dusty Wheel video where he interviewed me, where Matt interviewed me, and you scrub through the timeline there, or just if you haven't watched it, watch the video because whatever. It's Matt. He's great. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to his channel. I'm going to promote him. But what was I saying? Oh, so what I'm saying is, so the piece that I did for giveaway for that was a traditional media piece. I did it in traditional media. So you can kind of, if you want to, you can scrub through and you can see that one for a little bit on screen. And what I was saying is I don't think I've actually posted it to social media. Maybe I did. Maybe I did. I know I did like a bunch of stories about it on Instagram. I don't know if I put a post up about it. But the other thing is, like, I've kind of thought about, so depending on how this live stream goes here, I've thought it might be fun to do a similar thing, like the same thing as this, and do like a drawing on paper in the same approach. Like basically, I mean, I don't know, it might be kind of fun. Be like, hey, today I'm drawing on paper and let's just sort of kind of see, you know, how it feels different. I think overall, my approach is very similar. So I don't think it would be that much different if I was to do something like this. If you were to ask me to do an acrylic painting versus a digital painting, that's where I think you would find more difference. Just because I haven't done a ton of acrylic painting over the past couple of years. I used to work a lot in acrylics, but and it is something that I would like to get back. I'd like to try oils too. I've never ever actually painted in oils, but I think that would be worthwhile experience and practice for me. Yeah, the low gain piece. Yeah, actually, I think that one of the first. Yeah, I'm working on the one with Alvaro right now, and it's coming along. I'm actually going to put a bunch of time into it tonight. I kind of want to finish it. It's getting. I'm like, okay, I gotta move on. I've been kind of busy with other stuff, so I haven't been able to dedicate the time to it that I'd like. But what I was going to say is actually there was a piece that I did of, I don't know if you're familiar with the Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson, but I did a drawing of Kaladin Stormblast. And that, I feel like that one was kind of where I was like, hey, I kind of can draw hair now or paint hair. It sort of just came together. And I felt after that piece that my confidence level with sort of rendering and drawing hair increased for some reason. And it might be because, well, now that I think about it, it might be because I did like the one of Egwene, prior to that. I had like a couple pieces where I was really kind of digging into hair. So I think maybe I kind of had a little bit of like help there. So one of the things you'll notice here is, or maybe you won't notice, but I'm not zooming. I'm not like, this isn't how I normally would work, because I have the piece down in front of me and I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. I usually am like flipping the iPad around on my lap and, you know, leaning into it and zooming in and out and getting all crazy. Like I'm usually like, you know, like zooming in and turning the thing and doing all this stuff. But I want you to have a decent viewing experience, so I'm not torturing you. But one thing I will say, and this is a trick that I don't utilize often enough, but you'll see if you watch artists online work in Photoshop or Procreate, they will often, I can't see where his shoulder ends there, so I'm just going to not draw that because I don't know how wide his shoulder is there. Yeah, what you will see artists do often, sorry, I'm just examining something here, so I'm kind of losing my train of thought. What you will see them do is they will flip the canvas horizontally. And my wife is an artist, like I said, we met in college. And when she works, one of the things she likes to do is she actually turns it upside down. And the benefit of that is you kind of start to see the piece for what it is and not what you think it is. Oftentimes when we draw faces in particular, or people, we have this sort of preconceived idea in our head of what a person's face looks like. And it's like super true. I know, like for me, I have a lot of weird tendencies that I'm trying to correct in my seeing and in my execution of my artwork. But we tend to have a preconceived notion in our own heads of what a person's face looks like. And so oftentimes when we draw, that will creep into what we're doing. Instead of drawing what's actually there, we'll start to invent what we think is there. And it ends up looking contrived or weird. So in Procreate, what I can do is I can just go to Canvas. If I flip it horizontally, it just helps me evaluate stuff. So if I take a look here, it's not bad. I feel like the angle here of his cheek, where his jaw line is maybe something's off there. It might actually be that his lips might be too low, slightly. And one, you know, if I was gonna take this piece to completion without using my shortcuts in the digital world, what I would do is I would actually start to create some, I would start to create some guides for myself on his face. So I'd do things like this. Oops. Consult Siri and she'll fix it for me. That's the trick, guys. Hi, Veronica. Thanks for joining. Better late than never. I had a little bit of technical difficulties at the start. My mic wasn't working, so I started a little bit later than I should have anyways. But so, let me get rid of this one. So what I would do is I would kind of like, because part of one of the things I struggle with sometimes is figuring out the relationships between elements of the face. So like I can see, you know, in mine, it's pretty close. This eye should probably be a little bit further over. But so like, for example, if I was going to do from the corner of his mouth to the corner of his eye, I can see kind of how that bisects the nose, right? So this actually isn't horrible. It's actually pretty close. This space here is bigger on him than it is on mine for some reason. But these are like basically this is the approach that I would take. And so if let's say I was drawing a live model without a photo reference, I would use this exact same approach, but I would just be holding my pencil and looking at sort of lining it up to look at, the components of his face versus my drawing. And yeah, like a grid, Jeunesse, like doing a grid is a classic technique for that. A lot of artists used to always do that. The funny thing is, like, when you look at paintings like, or drawings from, like, let's say Norman Rockwell, for example. Norman Rockwell took tons of amazing photo reference, first of all. So every person that he drew, he worked from super solid, really good photo reference. So he wasn't like inventing stuff. Even though his stuff is a little more illustrative, it's very naturalistic because he's working from models and from life. And masters of old, they used different devices, mirrors and different things to help them draw better. They did alla prima, so they would take like a big charcoal drawing or a drawing, and they punch holes in it, and they would rub charcoal through it and transfer that to the fresco before they would paint it. So I mean, then they would just basically be tracing the form and just focusing on the painting and not worrying about the drawing so much. Like I think there's a bit of a misconception where it's like, oh, you need to be able to, draw everything perfectly by hand. And I mean, ideally, yes, you want to get to a stage where you're very competent at that. But using tools like a grid or a projector or whatever is super common and smart, because you're eliminating some of the barriers to getting a really solid piece done. One of my favorite artists right now, well, for a long time, but especially lately, I've just really admired his work, is Greg Manchas. And he does like what was I gonna say? He uses a projector on his canvases. So he does like a bunch of sketching and drawing and photo reference and stuff ahead of time. So he's like worked out all of his compositions, and he's done all the work. It's not like he's like cheating. He's done all the work to get himself set up to do his painting. But when it comes down to getting like the painting done, he projects it, because then you can get a really solid, quick underlying drawing done, and he's not fighting with anything. At that point, he can focus down on the storytelling and the rendering and the structure and all that stuff, the important stuff. It's like you said, like the shading is what counts. The rendering in a piece like this, the rendering, the shading, and the lighting and that stuff, yeah, it's super important. If I was doing like line work, just ink drawings, then that's a different thing. The line is super important then. But in painting and more classical drawing, the form comes out of the tone and the lighting and stuff. But it's the underlying drawing that gives a solid base. It gives the opportunity for life to come out of the 2D plane. That's why I think like they're so married. Like good painting relies on good drawing, and practicing drawing on paper, like you're talking about, is so important and will provide, like getting skill in that will provide a vehicle to be able to get a good painting done if you're ever getting into painting. So drawing is fundamental. It's utterly important. I don't know if that's it. Utterly. Yeah, color and shading, Jeunesse, they're tied together. So yeah, if you're working, I'm doing a painting, a colored painting, then value and chroma are tied to one another for sure. Now I got these like really thick lines on his face. I should have put those on a separate layer. See, this is it's kind of goofy. Because yeah, that's one of the benefits of the digital media is I can set up layers and I can use them to my benefit. So when I said I work on one layer, what I mean is I typically paint on or draw on one layer, but I will use multiple layers for guides, and then towards the end of the piece, I'll use them for like effects and stuff. But overall, like with this, I'm actually quite happy with the structure and kind of the composition of the features of his face. I feel like I kind of got it almost. I'm happy with how the accuracy is, and that's something I'm always like wrestling with in my own mind is like accuracy. I want to be able to look at somebody and draw them the likeness very well and get the accuracy down real quick. It's a goal of mine, and I am getting better at it for sure. It's taking time, but I do want to eventually be like super confident where I can sit down and just be like, whatever the photo is, I can sit down and be like, yep, I could draw that, and just sit down and draw it. And over time, that'll get easier and easier. And then these Wheel of Time pieces have been great because they're stretching, they're pushing me that way. They're really, they're making it so I have to like really try to do that and push myself. Yeah, likenesses are hard. I agree. It's something that I think because I'm like doing the kind of work that I'm doing with these, where it's like meant to represent a specific person in a specific context, likeness is like really important. That one low gain piece that I did was kind of a breather because I commissioned, because the person who commissioned it was just like, hey, I really want a painting of low gain. Here's a couple photos of what I think he could look like. And it was just like, she gave me like total artistic license to just sort of riff off that. And it was like freeing in a way because I didn't have to, I wasn't like, oh, does it look like Alvaro? It's not, oh, that part of his face isn't right. Like I didn't have to fret over the accuracy so much. I could just enjoy the process of like jamming out on low gain, which is like really cool. He's one of my favorite characters too. I really like low gain. I like his journey, and I was kind of texting with someone over Instagram chat last night, and we were just talking about low gain, and I just think he's a remarkable character in that he was super powerful. Went through like so many ups and downs in the early stages of things, like False Dragon, super powerful, and then not. He got gentled and had like intense stuff happen to him, and then became powerful again and went through a lot of torment and stuff. But then, Min's viewing, and in the end, he was like this extremely powerful dude. But he chose service. He chose to serve and give. And I just thought that was like, I don't know. I just think it's really a neat character arc, and yeah, well written. Kind of excited that they're talking about, like, there's speculation that he's going to be more fleshed out in the show. I think that'll be cool. Veronica, you can learn to draw. Drawing is just a skill. It's like anything else. You can totally learn it. It's just takes time. It's time, practice. Time and practice, patience. Just like anything else, it's like learning an instrument or whatever. It all is just time and effort. So, and nowadays, like, there's so much stuff online. You can really you can really learn from the comfort of your own home. You don't necessarily have to go like take a big course or anything like that. You can pretty much, whatever you want to kind of learn how to do, you can find information online about it, which is great. I think that's really cool. But if you are going to learn, if you are going to try to learn, you should try to find a community that does the kind of work that you want to do on Facebook or whatever, and then subject yourself to their critiques. So you can get like constructive feedback on your work as you're going through the process of learning it, because you need that. You need feedback to be able to evaluate stuff. That's one of the things that I've always struggled with. I am getting better at it in my later years here, but I've had a hard time. It's kind of with self-evaluation. I get to a point often with pieces where I feel like I just can't see what is wrong with it anymore, and I lose kind of sight of the what needs to be done. And that frustrates me, but it's something I know about. So I'm thankful. I have like I said, my wife always is open to giving me feedback. My business partner is a very talented artist, and he gives me feedback too. And then I'm part of an illustrators group in Central Alberta here, where we try to meet once a month and just kind of go over stuff that we're working on and share things and give feedback to each other and stuff. But yeah, it's important for growth if you want to learn. Kind of like doing recitals if you're learning an instrument, I guess. Yeah, there's lots of YouTubers that do art stuff. Well, Veronica, if you're writing, like writing is crazy. Writing is super hard. So yeah, that's like a whole other discipline. So I mean, you yeah, you remind me of myself a little bit. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to learn how to draw. I want to learn how to write. I've got a couple novels in the works that are currently on hold because I've decided that I can't do everything all at once. So I think I'm going to leave those till I'm kind of maybe more into my 50s or something. You know, God willing, to live that long. You never know. But yeah, I want to do some novels down the road. My business partner and I have been working on some all ages graphic novels, and we're just in the finishing stages of signing a contract for the first one. So not the first one we wrote, but the first one that somebody's interested in publishing. So that's pretty exciting. And that'll be something that will hopefully come to completion in the next year and a half or so. It'd be like step one in getting some published works out there, which is cool. Yeah, I agree, Linux. A lot of untapped potential with low gain. I agree. Kind of felt like Brandon focused, like the time that he spent writing about Androll, Master Androll, which was kind of neat, like the whole gateway stuff and everything in Memory of Light was kind of cool. I kind of almost feel like it would have been fun to have more of a focus on low gain in those chapters rather than a new character. When I say that, I kind of liked Andrew. I thought he was an interesting character, and the relationship between him and Pavara, the Aes Sedai, that was pretty cool. Sort of like double bonding thing that happened with them was kind of cool, neat, interesting. Well, I don't know. What do you guys think of where this is at here? How do you feel about it? It's 4:56. Yeah, so I had intended to do like a 1 hour session of drawing. So you can see, and I mean this, like I said, maybe there's a little bit of a slower pace because I've been kind of checking chat, talking, had the technical difficulties, and kind of the way that I'm working, not the way I normally would work, is slowing me down a little bit, but not too much. Not to the extent where I'm like, well, I totally would have been done painting this already. Though, you know what, it'd be kind of fun to try to do like a painting in an hour one day, like a portrait like this. Maybe I'll do that sometime. My fear is always that I'm gonna like sit down to do something like this and it totally sucks. And you guys have wasted your time and I feel like a buffoon. And I'm exposed as the fraud that I always feel I am, which artists always struggle with, right? That's my genuine fear with doing live streaming, which is partly why I just like I kind of avoided it. But I want to. So I did a series of portraits last year where I was just focusing on portraiture for like a month. I try to do 4 drawings a day. Less developed than this, more like quick 15 to 20 minute studies. And I kind of thought it would be fun because I'm feeling a need to grow again. I kind of thought it would be fun to sort of use these live streams and do like a series of pieces like this that, you know, feed into my Wheel of Time work because I love doing those and it's fun sharing that fan art with you guys. But also help me develop my seeing and so sort of stretch my drawing abilities. So I'm probably going to do, and then on top of that, gives me content for my YouTube channel, which I'm always trying to create content for. And this way I'm practicing and connecting with you guys and, you know, drawing more. And I feel like that's all, there's a lot of positives to that, I think. I feel like, and maybe, you know, maybe this is something I'll do more of. Does that sound good to you guys? Like if I do this more often? I don't expect you all to show up every time. You know, I'm not asking you to commit to anything. But if it's something that's like kind of fun for you to sit down and do, that's cool. And yeah, gives me, kind of covers all those bases like I was just talking about. The neat thing about the Apple Pencil is I got, like if I put it on the edge like this, you can see it's kind of giving like a nice kind of edge of the pencil feel, which is really cool. I think that's like, it's really cool. And then if I go like this, it's more of a point of the pencil feel. Anyway, I think that's pretty awesome. This digital technology for painting has really come a long way. I've been doing digital work, like paintings like this, for a number of years. I think the first actual like finished digital painting I did was in 2010. And I did it in Corel Painter. It was a mix of Corel Painter and Photoshop. And I've just been really enjoying the iPad. The flexibility to like just kind of sit anywhere and draw is really nice. It's enjoyable. Well, I just wanted to shade this side here because I feel like I just wanted to have a little bit more definition to this side of the face. Needed like a tone to work against. And I can add a little bit of like reflected light here against the hair. Gives a little bit of form. Yeah, thanks. I mean, I honestly think that the whole like zooming in and out and how I normally draw, I haven't felt handcuffed here, so I'm not worried about it. And I think it's actually a good, it's a bit of an extension of the exercise to not use that, because I don't do that on paper. I'm drawing on paper. And so if I'm practicing seeing, I don't see a need to do that. I think it's good for me to just sort of reference back and forth from the drawing to the picture and try to evaluate the volumes and stuff as I'm working. So, but thanks for considering me. I'm such a whiner. So, what time is it here? 5:03. How about if you guys want to stick around, I think what I'll do is I'll paint, or I'll draw till 5:15. Honestly, don't know how much more I can really do here without starting to get super nitty-gritty. And then if you want to stick around, I will, if you're curious, I'll open one of my finished pieces and we can just have a really quick 10-minute, I can show you just sort of like how, I guess, how I work in there, like what I do in terms of color a little bit, what, brushes I'm typically using and stuff like that. Would be kind of cool. And it would be like, yeah, I could do a painting one day, maybe just do a quick and dirty painting. I'm feeling confident enough. So hope you're all well, and like this whole world situation that we're in hasn't hampered your lives too much. I was just on a call earlier today, and they were asking me if I was sad because the Wheel of Time show is kind of delayed or whatever. And I said, it kind of gives me a little more time to draw more, which is kind of selfish. But it's kind of nice for me in a way, because it gives me more of a window to kind of explore stuff and keep building these pieces, which has been really fun. I kind of feel like once the show is out, my pieces will lose relevance a bit, because there will be actual footage and pictures and stuff out there. I think one of the things that I've really tried to do with my work is like give a window into what the characters could be like. And it was for myself too, like I just felt like I needed to see that with the casting. And so anyways, it'll be interesting to see kind of how my work holds up against the show, and if the interest in my work kind of declines because the stuff is actual now. It's not, anyways. So yeah, I kind of sort of like the opportunity to have a bit more time to explore stuff before the true content sort of becomes solid. Yeah, Veronica, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to color this one in. I think I'm probably like these studies that if I'm going to do a series of studies like this, they're probably just going to be graphite like this. And the point of them is kind of like to like part of my reason for doing them is because I've wanted to do another round of portraits like I did last year, just to challenge my eyes, my seeing, and I thought it would be fun to do a series of Wheel of Time related ones to do kind of cover, I guess, what do we call it? Cover two bases at once. So I'm creating some fan art stuff and practicing my portraiture and my seeing, which doesn't need me that, like, I don't need to paint them or color them in to be able to practice that. So, and also like just the window of time that I have, yeah, unless I'm gonna, whoops, unless I sit down, I keep hitting that home button, unless I sit down and one of these days with this, unless during one of these live streams I decide to paint, because that process is a little bit different. What I would probably do, what would probably be smart is I'd probably do a quick sketch ahead of time so that I can just dive into painting, because it's a longer process. It just takes quite a bit more time for me. Although I don't know, I've done some one-off paintings in the past where I just dive in and paint, and it's a fun, challenging endeavor. They just don't turn out as good. I guess I would say it's harder to get them to feel complete and accurate and stuff, because the paint is a little bit less, it's a little more unruly than graphite. Graphite, I can kind of wrestle it into some form of semblance in a bit of a shorter time frame. Paint and I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship in some respects. Oh, geez, Linux. Well, thanks. And thanks, Veronica. That means a lot. I mean, it'd be crazy if, when the show came out, if there was any sort of resemblance to some of my costuming and stuff. That'd be kind of neat. And I would assume it would be coincidence. I'm not affiliated with the show in any way, right? I'm just a fan making art, so that would be interesting if there was like a resemblance to stuff. It would just, not that I would be like mad, or I think it would be really cool. I think it would be kind of neat just to see that. I just switched my brush here. I just wanted to do like a quick, and I might undo this just because I don't, but we'll see. I just kind of feel like, I don't know why, but I'm feeling like I want to set him off from the background a little bit. So this is just a charcoal artist. It's crayon. It's a crayon brush. I made it huge so that it gives me like a huge texture. But yeah, this is, so in terms of a study, this is already like more than I would typically do for a study. Because like what I do when I'm doing a study, what I'm doing is I'm just trying to challenge myself to see the form of the person, of the face, and to represent it in an accurate and believable fashion as quickly as I can, I guess. And I sort of feel like with this one, I probably, if I was doing a study, I might have quit a little bit ago, because I feel like I achieved the structure maybe like 10 minutes ago. Now I'm getting to the point where I'm like, oh, okay. And now I'm just sort of evaluating some of the tone, some of the structure of the musculature and bone structure of the face, which gets more into rendering, and it's more about like finished portrait work, if that makes any sense, rather than just a study. This is a weird spot on his cheek right here, because it's kind of like the cheekbone sets in there. Should switch back to the other pencil. It's getting out of control, getting crazy. It's trying to look like Frankenstein or something there. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this up, and we're gonna go to. I'll open up a piece, and you can take a look at it. Which is there a particular painting of mine that you'd like me to open and look at from a curiosity perspective? I don't know. Sometimes one of the things that I have a bad habit of doing in my drawing and my painting is I overwork stuff. It's like Greg Manchester, I keep talking about him, but he's a master at putting in just what needs to be there. His brush strokes are so economical and efficient, and like just there's a lot of like wisdom and knowledge that goes into each stroke. I feel like I flounder around a little bit, and then what happens is I try to force the picture into my will, so it ends up getting kind of like muddy and overworked. It's just, I think it's a bit of a fear anxiety thing, a little bit maybe. Trying to like render it so that it's believable. Okay, I don't know. We'll leave that where it is. I hope you guys enjoy watching that process. And yeah, there he is. Hi, Aradia Farmer. Hey, thanks, Matt. So I will jump in. I'm gonna go. Oops, I'm gonna go to my gallery here, and we're gonna quickly, for anybody who just kind of jumped in. Oh, don't look over here. This is can't see that because it's not out yet. I didn't think about that. Don't look. Close your eyes. Avert your eyes. All right. Is there? Which piece should I open? Egwene or Rand? Okay. I'll open Egwene. And I don't know. The thing is, I haven't opened this forever, so I don't know what layers are going to be going on here. Oops. There we go. Bumped my camera when I was freaking out about stuff. Okay, so here's my photo reference. So this is a mashup. Madeline Madden, of course, this is from a TV show that she was in. I pulled it off of a still frame and color corrected it so that I could get kind of the lighting that I wanted. So this is like the photo reference. This is my daughter's hand because I wanted her doing this crazy thing. So I got my daughter to do all these poses in these different positions, and then I photo bashed the photos together. So that's often how I work with stuff. And then I'll keep the original one in sort of for color reference and guidance and stuff like that. So then that would be what I would have drawn from. This is just some effects by the looks of it. Yeah. So this layer here is set to color dodge, which is like it picks up the color underneath it and sort of brightens and enhances it. So when I turn that on, you can see it's kind of creating these sort of, it blows out kind of the color and stuff, which sort of mimics kind of like a lens flare effect if you were looking at it through like a camera. And with this one and like the naive piece and some of the other ones where I'm like toying around with how side R and side E are represented, this is stuff that I'm trying to like push to try to. I'm just playing. I honestly don't have yet in my head like a solid. This is how it should be represented. I honestly don't know. It's just fun for me to kind of play around with. But like, so I'll take that away. So this is just a painting. So if you look at this, let's see here. I'll go on maybe I'll open a new layer so that I don't destroy my painting. So these are my brushes. I've bought some brushes through, what's the name of that website? I don't remember, but like Tip Top brushes and Brush Up oils and paints. There's people that make brushes for these programs, and so I've used Brush Up oils as kind of my go-to, or Brush Up acrylics. I've kind of bounced between these two sets on the pieces that I've done. This, I believe, was done using the oils, which it's just a little more fluid. So I guess I don't even know if I'm going to paint, honestly. I'll maybe just talk about what's here. So if you zoom in on her nose, you can see like there's kind of like three colors going on here, right? So there's the base color of her skin, which is kind of like this tan, cream, brown with some reds and stuff in some of the areas. On this side of her face, there's a bit of like, I'm kind of creating a little bit of reflected light in here with bringing in some blues. And on this side, I've got some yellows to kind of push the idea that the light is coming from one side versus the other. And then kind of bringing into these warms into her cheeks and in her nose area. The human face, we often, in this area of our face, the cheek and nose, that's where we get a lot of blood pooling. So there should be like a warmth there in that area of the face. I don't do it great. It's something that I need to grow at doing better. And I don't know if this is showing up great on the preview. Oh, I guess it is a little bit. So, but yeah, you can kind of see those colors in there. And then likewise, I've got this crazy yellow brush stroke in here. One of the things that I would like to be able to do with my work as I get better is be looser with it. And so I'd like to be able to paint something like this and have it feel strong and correct without getting too smooth and too sort of like polished in its rendering. I'm happy with it. I just would like to be able to be a little more loose. Like if you look at her lips, they're a little bit more loose, right? So you get like kind of these chunks of brush strokes. There's even like some purple in there, a little bit of blue, some pink, a little bit of orangey red in here, some blue down in here, purple in this area here. So I don't know if this is helping or not in terms of color, but I feel like painting is like it's a much more organic process than drawing. For me, there's a lot of exploration, and that's why it takes me longer. I would probably, like if you look, I have a video of this piece on my YouTube channel. You can find it and watch the process there. And it just has like, you can see I'm building. I work in like layer over layer over layer, and I repaint and I repaint. And over time, eventually, I need to be able to get to the point where I do less repainting and it's just confidently laid down the first time and correctly laid down. So that's something that over time, I'm going to hopefully get more capacity to do. I left this hand quite loose because I wanted it to be very energetic and full of life because she's sort of channeling a fireball or whatever. She's doing something crazy here. Maybe she's protecting the tower from the Shan-Chan. I don't know. That's one scene that I would love to paint, by the way. But anyways, so this is kind of, I don't know if that helps or not. Hair is kind of a neutral brown color with some greens and yellows and stuff in it. The dress is kind of a gray-white, some greens kind of reflecting the light from the green in here. And of course the shawl is like super duper loose and almost nondescript. It's almost just like painting color. So is that helpful? Yeah, it's hard to know when to stop drawing, Tom. It is. Yeah, so I mean, this live stream will be on my YouTube channel, and I will put the finished drawing that I just did, if I can go back to it without revealing the secrets over there. I'll put this finished drawing up on my Instagram and stuff. See, I feel like now, like, as soon as I open it, I'm like, oh, it just feels wrong. Drives me crazy. I could sit and fiddle and work on this for a long time before I was content with it, but I think the purpose here, the point is studying. And so from the perspective of study, I am content with where it's at. I will leave it. I will, after I finish this part, leave it. All right. Well, thanks very much, everybody, for stopping in and joining me. I appreciate it. I'll just say quickly, if you liked it, please, and if you're not already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm trying to grow the audience there. Also, please, like and comment. It really helps me. Please, share my work wherever you can and talk about it. I appreciate it very much. And if you're interested in picking up your own copies of any of my work, I do have an Etsy. You can just find me on Etsy. I think I've got links in my YouTube videos and stuff. And you can, I do have a Patreon, which is a small kind of dedicated group of people that have been super awesome. You can find me on Patreon too. And that's about it. And all my YouTube videos, I always sign off with the same thing, and I'll say it here. I hope you guys do well, and everybody's well and healthy. And until next time we get together, be good to each other. All right, I'll check with you later. Thanks very much for joining me. Bye.